Hello, welcome to Vinnie Training Centre. Today we just want to talk about some of the different surfaces you may run into when you go to paint things. We have mild steel, aluminium, Formax, acrylic stroke Perspex and wood. Mild steel. This is a very popular material. It's found on cars, washing machines, various different metal fabrication units. The best way to treat this, we find, is to use a grey cellulose primer. First of all, we'll abrade the surface with a red Scotch pad, so it'll allow the primer to key well into the surface. It usually takes about 2 to 3 coats, allowing 5 to 10 minutes between each coat. Then you can leave it for a further 50-60 minutes, and then you can start sanding it and then applying your top coat. Aluminium is a very popular product used in the sign industry and, generally speaking, by metal fabricators. Easy product to use. What we need to use with aluminium is an etch primer. What we do is we use a grey Scotch pad. The reason we pick grey is it's a fine pad. It gives us just enough abrasion on the surface without leaving deep scratches behind, which we'd see in the finished paint job, which obviously we don't want. Give it 2 coats and we allow 5 to 10 minutes between each coat. Then we allow further 30 minutes before we top coat the primer. Right, the next product we're going to talk about is Formax. Formax is it's a hard plastic, a high density foam is what it is basically. Again, it's used widely by sign manufacturers making signs, letters, display units. It's a very easy product to work with, it's light. One of the things about it is when it gets cut, it can leave a very rough surface. Okay, the type of primer I'd recommend for that would be a product called spray putty. It's a product that will give you a very high build. It's an air drying product obviously, and you can sand it and work with it quite quickly. So again, we would start off by using P120 grit sandpaper along there. We would then clean it off, use our spray putty onto it, usually about 2 coats. We will allow it then to dry for about an hour. Then we could sand it down with P600 wet and dry paper, or dry paper, and then we're good then for painting. Okay, next up would be acrylic or Perspex. Again, it's a product widely used in the sign manufacturing end of things, or people doing display units. Very versatile product, easy to work with. What we recommend is to use a plastic cleaner first on the surface. Then we'll use our plastic primer. We'll give it 2 coats, about 10 minutes between each coat. They are only light coats. It is an adhesion promoter. And after about 45 minutes, we can then put our top coat, our finishing coat of paint onto the surface. Okay, next up is woods. Now, there is a huge range of different woods, and a lot of them act differently depending on what we're using. But as a rule of thumb, we've just gone for a basic piece of plywood. Okay, one of the problems with wood, again, is it's a very porous material and it will absorb product quite quickly. It's good to use a primer because a primer is a lot cheaper than a top coat paint. So what we'd recommend here would be to sand the surface down, especially the edges, with 120 grit sandpaper. And then we'd use this high build primer. It's got a very high build on it. We would put a full coat on, let it dry for about 60 minutes, and then we would sand it down again with P240 grit paper. Again, we would apply more primer to it, and at that stage you should be fairly sealed. You can then move on to the next step of actually putting the colour that you want onto the wood.
If you need any further information, please contact one of our advisors at vinnieborn.com or send us an email at sales@vinnieborn.com.